The Sony Xperia Z is dead. Long live the Sony Xperia X! Hello there, my name is Gary Sims from Android Authority. Now, Sony has been making flagship phones in its Xperia Z range for a number of years. However, that range has now gone the way of the dodo. And in its place, we have the Xperia X range. Now today, the Xperia X range has three phones: the Xperia XA, the Xperia X Performance and the Xperia X. Now, anybody who's familiar with the Xperia Z5 will be instantly familiar with the Xperia X, as it borrows a lot of the same design language. Even a quick glance at this phone will just tell you that it's quintessentially a Sony. Looking at the right hand side of the device, you find the familiar Sony button layout, starting with the big power button in the middle, which also incorporates a fingerprint reader, then the volume rocker, and then the dedicated camera key. On the left hand side, you have the SIM tray. At the top, you have the 3.5mm headphone jack. At the bottom, you have the micro USB port. On the front, there is a 5-inch Full HD display, plus the front-facing camera. And on the back, we have the Xperia logo, an LED flash, and of course, the 23-megapixel rear-facing camera. Now, while the Xperia X borrows a lot from the Xperia Z5, it does add some of its own unique design elements. For example, there's now curved glass on the front, the corners are more rounded, and there's some curves on the edges. When it comes to the internals of this phone, Sony has made a bit of a strange decision because it packs the Qualcomm Snapdragon 650 and not the Qualcomm Snapdragon 820. If you're after an 820, you need to go to the Xperia X Performance. So what is the Snapdragon 650? Well, basically it's a hexa-core CPU with 2 Cortex-A72 cores and 4 Cortex-A53 cores. They're clocked at a maximum of 1.8 GHz, and backing this up you have the Adreno 510 GPU and 3 GB of RAM. The standard single SIM model comes with 32 GB of internal storage, which can be expanded using the micro SD card. You also get all the normal bells and whistles, including GPS and NFC, Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, and of course 4G LTE. Now, while I'm talking about NFC, Sony have made a bit of a strange decision of putting the NFC detector on the front of the phone, which means that when you want to pair it with another phone to copy over a photo or something, you have to put the front of the Sony to the back of the other phones, and that can create lots of misreads on the screen, and I actually found it quite difficult to get the alignment just right. As for sound, the Xperia X features dual front-facing stereo speakers, meaning that the sound is unobstructed when you place the phone on a flat surface, and the sound is always projected directly upwards and outwards. The speakers can get quite loud, and placing it on a flat surface actually seems to boost the sound somewhat. There are a number of audio settings that you can use to improve the sound quality, including DSEE-HX, Clear Audio Plus, and a dynamic normalizer. There is also a manual mode which allows you to enable the equalizer or activate various surround sound options, including S-Force front surround. When it comes to the battery, the Sony Xperia X packs a 2620 mAh unit. My initial charge from when I took it out of the box lasted just over 2 days, but I must admit I didn't really use it much in the first day. And during that charge time, I got 4.5 hours of screen on time. The next charge gave me 5.5 hours of screen on time, with a mixture of web browsing, YouTube, navigation, 3D gaming and 2D gaming. What this means is that with moderately heavy use, you'll be able to get a full day of battery life, and this can be improved even further by turning on some of the power saving features. According to Sony's website, the Xperia X supports Quick Charge 2.0, which means that the phone can be charged relatively quickly up to that 80% level. However, the charger that came with my review unit was not Quick Charge 2.0 compatible. Using the supplied charger, it took 1 hour and 15 minutes to charge from 5% to 75%. In terms of general performance, the Snapdragon 650 provides a snappy experience. The UI is smooth and there aren't any noticeable lags. The gaming experience is also very good. In fact, the Xperia X scores an impressive 59.5 frames per second on Epic Citadel in its high quality mode and 58 frames per second in the ultra high quality mode. And for those of you that like benchmarks, the device managed to score 77,306 in Antutu, 1,442 in Geekbench's single core tests, and 3,800 in Geekbench's multi-core tests. The Xperia X comes with a 23 megapixel Sony XMOR RS sensor, a wide-angle 24mm G lens and support for low-light photography at ISO 12800. The camera on the Xperia X is good. It's not the best, but it's good. Now, although the camera has a 23 megapixel sensor, it's set to 8 megapixels in 16:9 by default. Sony enthusiasts will tell you this gives you the best results because it uses super sampling. Now, these pictures that I'm showing you include pictures taken in 8 megapixel mode, in 20 megapixel mode, and in 23 megapixel mode. As you can see, in good daylight the camera works well, and there is little to choose between the 20 megapixel and the 8 megapixel images, other than of course the resolution. However, you will notice that some pictures are dull and seem washed out. Take particular notice of the sky. It's meant to be blue. However, using HDR does improve the washed out sky problem, but also note it does change the overall colours of the pictures. In low light situations, the camera tries very hard to produce a good shot, and although the levels of noise do go up, which is to be expected, the overall results are actually quite good. The Xperia X also features Sony's predictive hybrid autofocus. In a nutshell, you tap on an object in the frame, and if it moves, like a kid or a dog, then the Xperia X uses object tracking to keep that object in focus. While there is no 4K recording, the Xperia X does support 60 frames per second while recording in full HD. There has been some concern about the Sony Xperia overheating while recording video. When I first used the camera app, I saw a warning message which said, if the temperature device rises, the app may close during use. Your recording will be saved automatically. To see if the Xperia X has an overheating problem, I started to record a full HD 60 frame per second video and set the camera on top of a jar just to see how long it would record for. Everything went okay until about the 18-minute mark, when a warning was displayed. Camera will now turn off to cool down, which of course it promptly did. On the plus side, the bundled camera app is actually quite good. Along with a semi-manual mode, there is lots of additional modes, including AR mode, which can superimpose computer-generated scenes like dinosaurs and fish onto your photos and videos, an AR mask mode to mask your face with different generated masks, and a time shift mode which records at a high frame rate and applies slow motion. One problem I have with the bundled camera app is it seems the only way to enable HDR is to use the semi-manual mode. And even then it's buried away in the settings menu and isn't an on-screen control. The upshot of this is, well for me at least, that the semi-manual mode became the equivalent of HDR mode. If I wanted HDR then I switched to semi-manual, if I didn't then I switched back to full auto. In terms of software, the Xperia X comes with Android 6.0 Marshmallow along with a light skin on top of the stock Android UI. It also includes extra features and Sony related apps. As well as the software for managing the fingerprint reader, there is a myriad of device connection options, including the ability to wirelessly play content from your Xperia X onto other Sony devices. There's also a theme library with some free colour-based themes that matches the phone colours, along with a theme store full of both free and paid themes. Under the battery settings, there are two different power saving modes available, Stamina mode and Ultra Stamina mode. With Stamina mode enabled, then GPS, vibration, image enhancement, etc. are restricted to reduce battery consumption. Also, background data is restricted, again to save battery. With Ultra Stamina mode enabled, your data connection, both Wi-Fi and cellular, is disabled and the home screen is switched to the Ultra Stamina mode home screen, which includes access to only a few apps, basically the phone, contact, messaging, camera and a clock. So the Xperia X is available right now in the UK and in Europe for £459.99 or for €589. It'll also be coming to the USA on the 26th of June, where it will cost around $550 off contract. Now those prices are actually higher than what you can probably pick up an LG G5 or a Samsung Galaxy S7. However, if you find one on contract, maybe you'll get a good deal through your carrier. If you're a Sony fan or you already have an Xperia Z device and you want to upgrade, then I really can recommend the Xperia X. However, really the flagship device is the Xperia X Performance. However, the pricing of the Xperia X off contract is actually quite high. My name is Gary Sims from Android Authority, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to download our app, and don't forget to visit androidauthority.com because we are your source for all things Android.